Good evening, everyone, I should say. Oh my God, it's been one of those weeks for me. I can't even get my words straight this week. Good afternoon and early good morning to everyone out there. I'm coming from Wallen, Australia. I have had a very interesting week this week as a piece of fluff just flies past. Sorry. It's been a very interesting week for me this week. I've had a lot of time to go through things, and I feel like that's what's been happening lately because we're going through the change of a season. Over here in Australia, we're going into our autumn, so things are sort of starting to go a little bit, starting to work into a hibernation type field, whereas over there in America, see, told you, my tongue is tied today, my mouth is just not working, so bear with me today. Over there, you're getting into your spring, so you're doing spring cleaning, you're getting out of that winter doldrums and starting to manifest all these beautiful things that start to grow and the new birth and all that sort of stuff. So it's really interesting, whereas over here, we're starting to get ready for winter. And you wouldn't believe it's winter out there. It's beautiful and sunny, and we're getting like 25, 26 degrees today. It's going to be beautiful. So I'm going to be out and about in that beautiful weather because I've had a bit of a head cold this week. So trying to get over that. And, which is interesting because I've also got I had an ear infection. So I've been told that what am I not listening to, which is quite interesting because you do get to a point where you just go, what am I not listening to? And we don't have time to sit and just be aware of what's going on. So it's been interesting this week. I've been through a lot of mixed emotions. So it's quite an interesting week. I have worked out that I can't sit still. I've got to do work, and I've started to be a little bit more creative. And it was interesting this week. A friend of mine who has done that beautiful staff there, and you can see the wand just there as well. She does this beautiful work with feathers and crystals and wands and everything. And I was actually walking to get something for my computer because my desktop computer hasn't been working for about 10 months. And I was gifted she collects feathers. And I was just walking to this place, and this is where signs for me, you just go, what does that mean? And I was actually on my altar. I've got this little table here. It's got all my crystals and everything on it. And I was gifted a beautiful bird wing, and it was absolutely gorgeous. So it's up on my altar at the moment, or my table that I do readings on at the moment. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to place it. So, yeah. So I have Sean on the phone from Glasgow is it Glasgow, Kentucky? Is that right, Sean?
Yes, it is.
Hi, how are you?
I'm going through a lot right now.
Okay, and it's interesting because I've got a funny feeling it's been the month for it, especially coming up after Mercury retrograde and everything. A lot of people are going through so many different things. So it's funny because I saw Glasgow and then I saw Kentucky. I went, oh, are we in Scotland? And then I saw Kentucky. I went, oh, cool. I didn't realise there was one over in the US as well. So is it like a suburb or a little sort of inlet or something?
It's a smaller town.
Okay, awesome. Cool. So I'm a psychic medium. Did you want me to go more psychic or mediumship, or where did you want to sort of just go with the flow and see where it comes up?
Well, I guess the two things that are bugging me is how's my love life going to look? And
yes,
I came here to better my job and hopefully salvage a relationship. So I guess go from there.
Okay. No, that's fine. I'll just work it out. So what I want to just look into this for a minute, and it's interesting because you said you wanted to move for this relationship, but what I want to say with the relationship, it's more of a case of okay, where am I going to start? So I just want to stay with you with this relationship. I feel like you give more than what you receive, and I feel like that's been an underlying tone for you throughout probably the last 5 to 6 years for you. And I just want to say, sorry, someone's just piping in behind me, so bear with me for a second. I just want to say with this too, it's not a bad thing to give, but sometimes we need receiving. But I do feel like it's a bit of a one-way street with this relationship, which sometimes is a good thing, but it just depends on how you can change it so it actually works both ways. And I do want to say the relationship feels a little bit slow, it's a little bit sluggish, and it's not the fact that you're struggling with it. I just feel like it hasn't got the fulfillment as a relationship. But I just want to say, looking at yourself, it's not trying to put a cherry on top of something. You need to make sure that I don't know why I'm going to ice cream and sundaes and everything, but just bear with me for a second. But I just want to say with you, it's like I want to say you need to sort of fill your cup a little bit so that relationship can be that cherry. And it's interesting, filling your cup with doing things that you love to do and really connect with your heart and your soul. It sort of gives you a better outlook on what you want in a relationship. So whether or not it may be time for a break with this relationship, I just feel that you need to sort of look at doing things for you and see where the relationship fits after doing that, if that makes sense. Now, with the work, your work is quite interesting. I feel like it's full on. Like, you can get to a point where it can be 24/7 sometimes because you actually bring work home. Does that make sense, Sean?
I'm a nurse aide, so I work all different shifts, all different times, and sometimes it's hard to get away.
Yeah, because I was just going to say, it feels like you're 24/7, so this is where I probably got the shifts in. But I just want to say with that, it's going to grow. There's growth there. Also, I'm being shown study as well. So I don't know if you're doing a little offshoot something as well that gives you a little bit more knowledge or understanding in something that's, I still want to say you're not moving from where you are in regards to a career, but I just want to say giving you a little bit more oomph or a little bit more sort of knowledge and I'm just trying to think of the word. It's like I want to say that the career's going to stay the same, but you're expanding. Thank you. You're expanding to do other things. Now, it's interesting. I also feel that you're very spiritual. I do sense that you always have that intuition and that psych sort of awareness that things aren't going quite right with a patient or even with someone around you. I feel that with that, you sort of bring that to work as well, which is really good, but you don't have any downtime. And this is where I want to say to you, start filling your cup with things that you love to do, hobbies, reading, writing, very crafty. Do you work with your hands? Like, I want to say, did you ever knit? Do you ever knit or do you ever do things with your hands like art or something? Or
I build custom trucks.
Oh, okay. Because I just want to say that's something that you love. It's like because I was going to say hands-on, and it's like I want to say
I do mechanic work and stuff.
Okay, that makes sense too. So it's like I want to say you need to do that to get out of your other sort of mode as well. So it gives you a balance. Because I just want to say you're not energetically. I feel like you're not actually looking after yourself, if that makes sense. So you feel really drained.
Yeah, I have felt really drained. I feel like I've just been bouncing around for the last year and a half trying to figure out where I'm going to be, what I'm going to do ever since I lost my job in Michigan and bounced around and been through everything. So I've lived in Alabama. I just came to Kentucky.
I feel like you're going to settle here. If it's not in Glasgow, I know Kentucky feels like it pulls on the heartstrings for you. There's a reference to feeling at home. I know there's certain areas of that state that are quite spiritual and quite sort of in depth and really get to the heart. And I do feel like you're going to settle for a little while here. Okay. Also, I know you've got the travel bug, and I do feel like you get itchy feet quite regularly. So doing like the travel or just going away on a trip or even just a weekend away just to sort of get to now. I don't know. please bear with me with my geography. I'm sort of I might have to start studying the US a little bit more. But with Kentucky, is there a beach or is there a place that you can go, or is it more inland?
We've got some small lakes and rivers, and
Okay.
me and my friend that I'm trying to work my relationship, we like to go on like road trips down to Florida and go fishing in the Gulf and stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, because that's what I want to say to you. There's a reference to going to the beach for a weekend or a week away, and it's just I just want to say there's a reference to the beach because they're showing me the beach. So I just want to say a weekend away would be good for you, just to have that little bit of a break, if that makes sense. So
Okay.
Okay. And it's interesting, I've got a few more minutes, but I just want to say there's a lady that's coming through as well, and I feel like she was a big part of your life when you were growing up. She's very much looking at you like when you were a child, and I don't know if this is a grandmother or a great aunt, but I just want to say there's this lady who wants to bring the joy in, and she's got this gorgeous smile, and she has this really wicked sort of laugh, and I know she passed... it's like I want to say in her 60s. I don't feel like she was very old when she passed, but I just want to say she has this beautiful sense of joy, and I feel that's what she wants to bring you back to as well, like your childhood sort of imagination and your memories and things like that. She just wants to bring that through for you, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So if you don't quite, I feel like she's more dad's side of the family than mum's side of the family, but I just want to say there's a closeness now. In a sense, with saying the closeness, if she's not family, I want to say she's a friend of the family, or she's like an aunt. So for me, I've got a beautiful aunt that I've known since I was 2, but she's not any part of the family or anything. But I know she's really close with my mum, but I just want to make reference to this lady bringing joy and happiness around you in your younger years. And I do want to say she's just wanting to let you know that there is joy and fun. And I do want to say, please go out and enjoy the sun. There's something about having time for you to fill your cup. So can I leave that with you? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. But I do feel like you're settling at the moment. Like there's a settledness around you where you live. Okay, so it's not that you're going to move, and I do want to say it's like managing your energy. So taking time out for you would be a really important thing right now, because I feel like you're being pulled in so many different directions, like you said, your relationship and work and things like that. I do want to say, please make sure you do things for you and not just work.
Okay.
Okay. So is there any other questions, sort of, Sean, that I can help you with?
I can't really think of anything right now other than I hope everything falls into place, and that
it will. And it's funny because I want to say there's confirmations coming for you, and it's interesting. I want to say whether or not you have oh, God, that's really funny. And it's interesting because I feel like you're a bit of a rebel, and this is the reason why I'm going to say this to you, is because you know when everything's going to start flowing a lot better, because it's not to say that you're stuck. I just feel like there's things you need to look at a little bit more, but you know when things are going to really start flowing, and it's the actual, the flag off the Dukes of Hazzard's car, the top, I don't know if it's the rebel, I don't know. It's like the rebel flag or something.
Because I'm putting a Confederate flag headliner in my truck.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, it just freaks me out. Because I want to say, when you see that flag, you know things are going okay. There's that reference, that sign is okay for you.
Okay.
Okay, because I just feel like there's that reference of when you see that, and I know you're just putting it on there, but I feel like there's also when you go past it, you always have a question in your head, and if you see that flag, you know it's a true yes, and you know it's a sign as well. So can I leave that with you?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Not a problem. Have a good evening. Thanks, Sean, for calling in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I have Tammy now. Tammy from,
Hello.
I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to pronounce that. How do you pronounce it, Tammy?
It's Kalamazoo.
Kalamazoo. Okay, perfect. Thank you. It's just with the way my English is like, sometimes I just don't want to sort of say it wrong. But, okay.
That's okay.
Tammy, now, what's it like? What's the weather like there at the moment? Is it starting to get a little bit more?
Well, it's nighttime, but it's probably in the 30s.
Okay, so is it starting to warm up a little bit for you?
Yes, finally. We had
Awesome.
a lot of snow a few days ago, but it's starting to go up into the 50s now, so.
Oh, that's good. That's right.
Yeah.
And you go, thank God, because has it been a long winter this year?
No, not too bad. Actually went by pretty fast.
Okay, cool. And it's interesting because I saw Michigan and because my husband and his best mate used to play gridiron over here in Australia, and they're mad Michigan fans, like mad, like everything. It's like crazy. So anyway, so besides that, okay, let me just have a look. And I just want to talk to you. Oh, God. Now, I have got a gentleman now. I just want to say he looks, or he feels grumpy. There's like this grumpiness around him. Yet I know it's like a bit of a funny thing around the family with this gentleman, that he was really grumpy, but he had this heart of gold. Like, there's a reference to heart. Interesting, because I'm being pulled to my heart with this gentleman as well. Like, I want to say whether or not he had heart issues or a heart attack before he passed, but I feel like he's a bit of a stocky man. And I do want to say he just wants to come through with this big smile on his face, because you know when he's grumpy, but he still has a smile. And I do want to say he was taken earlier than what was expected. I've got a funny feeling he used to hide. He's a typical man. He hides things from people in regards to his health. But I do want to say there was heart issues or heart complications with him. Would that make sense with you?
Yeah.
And I do want to say whether or not I want to be drawn to mum's side of the family, or he wants to say hi to mum, but there's a reference to being drawn to mum's side of the family with this gentleman. And I do want to say with him as well that he's got this gorgeous sort of cheeky smile, like he has this little cheeky smile that just lifts to the corner of his mouth. And whether or not he went bald or he went really fine on his head early, but I just want to say he's very like fine on the head, if that makes sense, because he's just tapping his head and it looks a bit baldish. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Thank you. And I know he's got these chubby cheeks because he's just got this big smile, and it's really interesting because when I see the chubby cheeks, I also see the redness in them as well. So that, I would say, would be very much to do with his blood, or there's something also there as well. But I know there's this rosiness around it because he's just got this. But I tell you, he can play the grump quite easily, but he's got this beautiful sort of sensitive heart, if that makes sense, like a heart of gold. He would give his left arm for someone, but I know he's a grumpy old soul, if that makes sense. And he's got this, he's just, and he's quiet too, but I know he's got hand gestures because he's like shaking his finger at you at the moment. And I just want to say, feeling that with you is more of a case of you know better. You know better not to overthink these things. You know better not to look at things in a way that you're worrying about hurting people or upsetting people or stepping on people's toes. And I do feel like this has been happening for you over the last month or two. It's not a bad thing to stand up for who you are, but I do feel like sometimes he goes, she was the wallflower. She was the one that used to be quiet and used to stand back. Would that make sense with you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So speaking up now, people are getting a little bit like, whoa, why? How come you're doing this now? And it's interesting. I don't know if it's an age thing or we actually feel like we're actually fitting in our own skin or fitting in our own body. Like, we have this sense of self, and I really feel like you're starting to really blossom into this, if that makes sense. And I do want to say, speaking your truth can sometimes hurt, but you're worried. And he's shaking his finger because he was always known as the grumpy man in the family, yet I know there was a heart of gold there, and I know that he would just give his right arm. It's just that sense. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Okay. Because
without saying too
sorry.
much, you know what I mean?
Sorry?
I said without trying to say too much, but...
Yeah, thank you. But I just want to say, oh my God, he's sitting over here and he's watching me, and which is interesting because I keep shaking my finger, so I do apologise. But I just want to say he's sitting here watching me with a very sort of intent eyes, and I feel like he was quite that serious, like he had this intent, like he knew he was thinking, or you could see that he was thinking, and he was very much of a man that was always in thought. But when he spoke, it was very it was just a matter of fact. It was very like, sometimes he would say something and I feel like the family would just go, what, what, how would you know that? How would you? It would just be something totally out of the blue, and the whole family would go, how would you know that? And I want to say grandpa, but I don't know if it's a grandfather for you, but I just want to say there's a reference to that. He's also telling me something about 6 children, so I don't know if he's one of 6 or he had 6, but there's something around 6 children he wants to acknowledge as well.
And it sounds like my great-grandfather, but he was like 87 when he passed away.
Okay, this is interesting. So 68, there's a reference around 68. If it's not his age, I want to say 68's a reference. So if it's not his age, there's something around 68 for him that would have been quite significant as well. So I'll leave that with you, but I just want to say he just wants to say 68. Okay. So
I'll try to figure it out.
Yeah, no. Just leave it with you. I've just got to trust with what I get. But he definitely wanted to say something about 68. I don't know if did your grandmother pass before him?
Yes.
He did. She did.
Yes, I believe in 78.
Okay. So I'll just leave that. But I know he's acknowledging the fact that she greeted him, and it was interesting. I feel like she punched him first,
Right.
because he was a typical man, and he didn't listen. And she's definitely. Was your grandmother much of a talker? Because I want to say she's talking his ear off now.
Yeah.
Thank you. So he was the quiet one. He would sit and then all of a sudden speak because your grandmother was the speaker. Ha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he was the type that if he spoke, then you listened. You know what I mean? He's very knowledgeable.
Oh, very. And you can see that intent in his eyes. Like, he's very thoughtful, and he's very sort of here with his eyes. He's so intent. But there's something about you that he's shaking his finger at, and he's going, you know better. There's something about you knowing better, and I'm just trying to look into that a little bit more.
Okay.
And
hard telling
I do want to... Pardon?
I said hard telling with me.
Yeah. So he's just wanting to. Okay, where are you going with this? It's like I want to say you know better, and I don't know if it's to do with around relationship, or there's something sort of understanding that whether or not you can see it but you don't want to say anything, but there's just that reference there. And I feel like I'm drawn to relationship or family relationships. There's something about that, and I feel like you need to speak up a little bit more, but there's definitely that reference there. I want to say relationship wise. And it's interesting because I feel like you found your voice, and it's funny, you find your voice with a lot of people, but are you in a relationship at the moment?
Yes.
Okay.
Bad 6 years. Bad 6 years, I should say.
Okay. So you're not in this, are you still in the relationship now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and this is why he's shaking his finger going, you should have known better. Gotcha.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Not a healthy one.
So moving forward, I just want to say there's nothing you can do to change them. There's nothing, as much as you would love to, or you've changed yourself for them, I don't feel like that's going to happen. And I do want to say for you, looking after yourself is a big thing. And you have really you've really started doing that over the last month or two. And I do want to say that the last month or two is starting to show, it's like I want to say you're showing your teeth, and he's laughing because showing your teeth sometimes can be detrimental to you because you worry about what people think. So I've just got a couple more minutes. But is there any question that you want to ask?
Is there any female besides the older, the grandmother?
Not at this stage. I don't feel like there is one that's coming through at the moment. But I just want to say the grandfather was the message, I think, today. But that's not to say that you can't actually connect with me later on my Facebook page, Jordie Janes Psychic Medium, or Jordie Janes psychicmedium.com.au. Connect with me there, and we can do another reading at another time as well. So, but please,
that sounds perfect.
Yeah, Tammy, please contact me, and we can do another offline air thing. So thank you so much, everyone. Thanks, Tammy, for connecting with me and calling. And thank you, everyone. Have a lovely week. I'll see you next Friday. And God bless everyone. Mwah. Thank you for listening. Bye.